The moon and its symbols. The waxing and waning of the moon reminds us of the duality of light and dark, of good and evil, of death and rebirth. The darkness consumes the moon only momentarily before the waxing crescent signals its rebirth. Here's what Eddie Online has listed under moon. Moon, heavenly body which revolves about the earth monthly. Moon comes from Middle English, mone, spelled M-O-N-E, or English, Mona, like Mona Lisa, and from German, for Mond, like Monday or Moon Day, and from Latin, mensis, from Greek, many, and from the Proto-Indo-European language root, me, which means measure. Next time you hear someone use meh as a response to how they feel about something, remember, it's highly unlikely they haven't the slightest idea where it came from. Our month is the measurement of time it takes for the moon to complete its revolution around the earth, which is approximately 29.5 days and is closely aligned with the average length of the menstrual cycle in women. When the moon is full, it's at its biggest and brightest. This is when the images or symbols on the moon made by impact craters are on full display. Some see a man on the moon smiling back at you on Earth. Perhaps this is why the moon god Sin, offspring of the sky god Enlil, was worshipped in the Mesopotamian region. According to Britannica.com, Sin was the father of the sun god Shamash, and in some myths of Ishtar, who was the goddess of Venus. Sin belonged to the elite class of gods called the Anunnaki. There is also a hare or rabbit on the moon that represented fertility to ancient man. No one says they were going at it like sloths. They say they were mating like rabbits. The rabbit, like the man on the moon, would symbolically be born, die, and reborn again through the waxing and waning of the moon. In Western Christianity, Easter falls on the first Sunday after the first full moon that occurs on or after the vernal equinox, which indicates the start of spring. The symbol of the rabbit on the moon is also why there is an Easter bunny, and the fertility aspect is represented by the eggs the kids search for. It's an archaic ritual remembering the worship of the moon, fertility through the commencement of the spring season, and the cycles of death and rebirth. One of many archaic practices still being practiced today. An interesting note, the word rabbi comes from the Mishnaic Hebrew, which translates as my master. It cannot be understated that the ancients worshipped and venerated celestial bodies as deities, and the moon is one of those key bodies, the master to some. When the moon is full, it is at its peak in size and brightness. The same in women. When she is at her peak of her cycle, she is most fertile. The moon has a direct effect on the tides of our oceans, and it also affects the water inside us. For women, it can even guide the natural flow of a woman's menstrual cycle by affecting the water within. The moon also symbolically represents death and rebirth through its changing phases. After its peak, the moon begins to wane and diminish over time, only to be reborn again. Similarly, a woman's fertility diminishes as she reaches her peak, leading to menstruation and the shedding of the uterine lining. The ancient Greeks have a symbol of an egg with a snake coiled around it, called the Orphic egg. This myth tells how the earth was hatched from a silver egg that sat in darkness. The symbolism of the serpent we will share in another video, but we will leave you with this thought about the serpent for now. If you were bitten by a venomous snake in antiquity, Chances are you were going to be pushing daisies very soon unless someone found a way to cure the life-threatening bite. Someone eventually did, and it was as if they could bring people back from the dead. Now, if you look at the moon when it's full, you can see a man on the moon smiling. You can see that hare or rabbit, but you can also see a baby inside the womb, inside the moon. We are all here for our very own purpose. You are very special. You are chosen, and never allow someone or something to make you feel the contrary.